Formula One is going through its break right now, and let me tell you something, I'm absolutely missing the sport. I just wish there would be some racing. I've had to watch some previous races, some retro racing over the last couple of weeks, but I'll tell you what, there's a couple of drivers in Formula One this year that I think this break has come at a good time for, because it's time for them to actually kind of recoup and bring themselves back together again and make sure that they can actually have a strong middle part, early to middle part of the season and really revive this season, because it's been a horrendous start for some of these drivers. And we're going to discuss who in particular should be looking at this moment in time, thinking about how they can improve and how can they change the course of 2026. I'll start things off with Alex Albon. Now, look, Alex Albon at this moment in time, after 3 races, hasn't got any points in Formula One this year. They've had some serious issues. They've had a situation where they haven't even started a race, and when he has started races and finished them, he hasn't scored any points. Williams has gone through a hard time. They've gone through some troubled time at this moment in this season, and everything that was put in the James Vowles basket, the 2026 basket, honestly has been an absolute shambles. I can't imagine of a more frustrated driver than Alex Albon in 2026. He's one of the few drivers where he's been around the circuit. He's been here for ages. He's been at a very terrible Williams, and he's been at a very, very half decent Williams. 2025 was a really good season for the Williams in general, and you would have thought in 2026 they would have improved. They would have moved on forward. They would have got a lot better as the course of the season goes on. But unfortunately, it's just been absolutely terrible. It's been a shambolic time for Williams in 2026. James Vowles is under some serious pressure because, like I said, everything was put in this egg basket of 2026. Now, the reason I haven't brought up Carlos Sainz and I brought on Alex Albon is because at least Carlos Sainz has done something this season. Okay, it's only been 3 races, but it's been something. And Alex Albon is really, really struggling at this moment in time. And I hope that he will overcome this deficit that he's currently on. I think Carlos Sainz has only got like 2 points. Don't get me wrong, it's not crazy. But Carlos Sainz, for some strange reason, seems to look the more confident of the two. Seems to be the person that's got the right answers. Seems to be somebody who can find and figure something out in that car. I'm not entirely sure where or how it's coming from, but Alex Albon doesn't fill me with much joy. This is a man who is frustrated. You can hear him on his team radios as well. His team radios are very, very aggressive. They're very, very passive aggressive. They're very much in the form of complaining. He has not been happy at Williams this season, and he's not been happy, to be honest, for quite some time. And there's been moments in the season where he's mentioned, I've told you guys this before. I said this would happen. He's sort of in that kind of element of like blaming and sort of, he's blaming his team, and he's blaming his engineers as to the car setup and everything else like that. It seems like there's not a great relationship between the two, between driver and team. And so James Vowles has got a lot on his hands at this moment in time. The Williams has been deplorable, but I'm putting Alex Albon in this because I'm actually concerned for him. I'm actually concerned for not his mental health, but I'm just concerned mentally as to where he's at. I'm concerned about where he thinks Williams will be this season. And Alex Albon is a very, very clever driver. He's a driver that I think over the years has grown, is developed, and he understands, he knows, he's got great wheel knowledge. He knows what he's doing in that car. And so when he's worried, when he's concerned, when he's almost effing and blinding, I pay attention to that. I pay attention to what Alex Albon's doing, because there's probably a bigger picture that we don't actually see behind the scenes that's going on at Williams. But he really needs to have this moment, have this break, and really knuckle down and get all the Williams teams, or the whole camp, to get their heads together and actually really start asking the serious questions of, okay, what are we going to do to rectify this season so far? They came into the season, the car was well overweight. This is a team who finished in the ahead of the midfield pack last season. They were the best of the rest. This season, they are deplorable. They're having an absolute shambolic season. They're currently P9 in the Constructors' Championship. There's 11 teams. P9 in the Constructors' Championship is absolutely deplorable. And the only person that's got points in that team has been Carlos Sainz. With that miracle work, was it P9 was either the Japanese or Chinese Grand Prix? I can't even remember now. But that's the state of play for Williams at this moment in time. They need to sort that themselves out. They need to get behind whatever the issue is and rectify it and solve it quickly. And thankfully for them, the Bahrain Grand Prix and the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix being postponed at the very least has given them time, will buy them some time. But they also need track time. So there is also that element there. But Alex Albon, I am concerned a little bit for him. Hopefully, in Miami and onwards, he will come back revived, refreshed, ready to go, much more positive. That's what I want to see from Alex Albon. So we have to wait and see now what happens with them. Second driver I want to put on this list is going to be Esteban Ocon. Absolutely correct. Esteban Ocon, the reason I bring him up, because Haas is brilliant this year. Haas is a fantastic team this year. They seem to be the head of the midfield pack. They're certainly battling it with Alpine anyway. Haas have done a tremendous job over the winter. Oliver Behrman has done a good job this season as well, and is continuing his rich vein of form from last season. But Esteban Ocon, I think, has 1 point in Formula One this season. Compare that with his teammate, Oliver Behrman, P7 in the Drivers' Championship with 17 points. The Haas looks tremendous. The Haas looks absolutely flawless. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Haas team. What Aya Komatsu has been doing has been brilliant. What Oliver Behrman has been doing is absolutely brilliant. But let me tell you something, man. Haas are ahead of Red Bull, but where is Esteban Ocon? And Esteban Ocon has been one of those drivers along the way where he kind of gets caught up in that middle field where it becomes irrelevant. Not, like when you're near the back, there's a topic of conversation, there's something to talk about. When you're near the front, of course, there's a conversation to be had. But with the Esteban Ocon of it all, there never seems to be a conversation around this man, to the point where there's videos, including myself, where I've made videos about Esteban Ocon being underrated, being underestimated. And, he's had a Grand Prix win in Formula One, which is brilliant, which is, a lot more than other drivers can say, a lot more than, say, Oliver Behrman can say. But I think with the fact that the Haas is right there now, it's ready to cook. It's ready to cook in that midfield. I can't find Esteban Ocon. And it feels like Esteban Ocon's one of those drivers where they're just like a midfield driver. At some point, we're going to get rid, because it's almost like, what's he bringing to the table? And I don't mean any disrespect to Esteban Ocon when I say this, but Esteban Ocon has definitely got to shape up this season. He's definitely got to get himself sorted out this season and make sure that he is able to step to the plate, step to the mark, challenge Oliver Behrman. Why are we talking more about Oliver Behrman than we are Esteban Ocon, when Esteban Ocon has got ounce of experience? I mean, tons of it on Oliver Behrman, right? This is a driver, a little bit like Pierre Gasly. You know how Pierre Gasly's been in sort of midfield reign, but now Gasly has stepped to the plate again, and we're seeing glimpses of the good Pierre Gasly that we were accustomed to earlier on in his career. Esteban Ocon came with a good reputation, by the way. Quick driver. He's not been terrible, but he's just been there, mediocre, right in the middle. And to the point where we don't even remember him anymore. I don't even remember talking about Esteban Ocon. In my mind, when I was making this video, I didn't think of a Haas driver in this. I didn't think a Haas driver would be brought into this. But as I started to analyze and look at everything, look at the first 3 races, look at the points, look at how things are going, I'm seeing how good Oliver Behrman has been. I'm seeing how good Ayo Komatsu has been. I'm seeing how good Haas as a whole has been, right? I'm then looking at Esteban Ocon saying, well, can you arrive to the plate, please? Can you step to the table? Can you do something for me? Because Haas could be much further in the Constructors' Championship. I think they're P4, P5 at this moment in time. They could be a lot further had Esteban Ocon done half the points that Oliver Behrman's done. Oliver Behrman's only done 17 points, but Ocon has done 1. If I had 5, 6, 7 points from Ocon, at least something. You'd look at Haas and be like, my goodness, Haas are really, really here. But at the same time, why has Esteban Ocon got less points than Oliver Behrman? Now, Oliver Behrman is an exceptional driver, as we're coming to see, as we're learning, as we're seeing. And in fact, he's I'm sure Ferrari are having to make a decision where they've got Lewis Hamilton, they've got Charles Leclerc, but what do we do with Oliver Behrman? We should probably bring him in. But this talk should be around Esteban Ocon. Not necessarily with Ferrari, but Esteban Ocon's name should be padded around with the amount of experience he's got. And if he's going to be irrelevant as he has been in the last couple of years, guess what? He will not be in Formula One in 2027. And that will be big. That's why I brought him in this list, because he needs to knuckle down. We need to see how good he is. We need to remind ourselves of how exceptional he is and how exceptional he can be, and move up the level, move up a gear. It's all well and good saying, he's a talented driver, he's got potential, he's got this, that, and the other. At some point, potential is not enough. It's now time to deliver. And the Haas, Ayo Komatsu and the gang have brought the car to where it needs to be. And now look, I'm seeing Oliver Behrman delivering. But Esteban Ocon is not. That's a big concern for me. Esteban Ocon needs to make sure he knuckles down over this break and this period, because I want to see something in Miami. I need to see something in Canada, in the Monaco Grand Prix. I need to see something from Esteban Ocon. He needs to wake up and rise up to the occasion. So let's wait and see if he can do so, because Oliver Behrman is absolutely ripping the mick out of him. Another driver that I'm concerned about slightly, but on a lesser scale, but it's kind of similar with the Haas situation I just mentioned earlier. Franco Colapinto. Now, the Alpine is ready. The Alpine is there. It looks like it's ready to challenge for that midfield spot. Just like I said about Haas, right? These guys are ahead of the Red Bull team, for example, this season, right? They're doing a phenomenal job. But you know who's been really phenomenal? It's all been Pierre Gasly. Franco Colapinto, like Esteban Ocon, has 1 point. Now, Franco, I believe in the talent. I believe that there is something there. He needs to unleash it now. It's now time. Flavio Briatore gave you a lifeline, in 2025, because that whole thing with Jack Doohan and Franco and all that kind of stuff, like, it was a bizarre case in and of itself. But then Franco, I say earned the place. I don't think he really earned the place. I think he was given the place by Flavio, because I think Flavio just believes in him more so than he believes in a Jack Doohan. But okay, last year was not a great year for Alpine. It was a bad car, but towards the end, it kind of got a little bit better, especially from Gasly. This season, however, the car is there. It's ready to go. They got the new engine. They got things in place. There's no news around Alpine, which is always good news. But Franco Colapinto needs to step to the plate. He needs to arrive. I'm not saying none of these drivers, by the way, in this list are done. They're finished. I'm just saying, now that we've got that break, after 3 races, let's look at the level playing field, and let's see who needs to improve. Colapinto is definitely one of those drivers that needs to improve. He has to, because the car is ready. A little bit like Esteban Ocon and the Haas situation, the car is ready. And furthermore, Pierre Gasly is absolutely killing it. Pierre Gasly is 5th in the Drivers' Championship with 15 points. So the car is there. It's able to do something. So Franco needs to knuckle down, do whatever he needed to do in this break. He needs to get on it. He needs to get on it properly, because the car is there to get points. They could be in this challenge of fighting in the front of the midfield pack. I'm seeing Red Bull, and I'll be honest with you. I predicted that Alpine will probably finish ahead of the Red Bull, because the Red Bull is horrendous. But what will cost Alpine? And maybe Haas might finish ahead of the Alpine. What will cost them will be Franco Colapinto's performances. We need to see more points finishes. We need to see him challenging in and around those 7th and 8th places. We need to see them fighting, going toe to toe with Haas, fighting toe to toe with Oliver Behrman, for example. We need to see him, challenging his teammate, for example. Like, Colapinto he's got the ingredients. I believe he does. I want to see that Williams Colapinto. When he joined Williams in that brief period at the end of, was it 23 season? May have been 24. I need to see that man. I need to see that man arrive, step to the plate, and really show that, oh, this is the reason why Flavio dropped Doohan for this guy. I believe there's something in there, but we need to see it. The proof will be in the pudding. The proof is in the racetracks. The proof is on the Saturday and Sunday. So Colapinto has had the chance and he's been given the car. He now needs to deliver. He has to deliver. Otherwise, it will be too late, and Red Bull might come back into play, or Haas might run away with it, and that'll be a big disappointment. If Alpine finished behind Red Bull, say P5, fantastic season ahead of the rest of the field, right? Brilliant. If, however, they finish, let's say P5 behind Haas, or like P6 behind Haas, that's a disappointment. Because where has Haas come from in all of this? Like, Alpine is a well-built, established team, big in Formula One, tons of history. Haas are still babies in this. I know they've been there since, 2016, 15 sort of times, but they're still babies in this. They're still babies in this, and the Flavio Briatores and people like that, there are well-oiled machinery in that Alpine team, and Colapinto has to deliver. He has to deliver for this Alpine team. Otherwise, it will be a big disappointment. And an honourable mention as well. I want to give Ishak Hadja an honourable mention. I don't think he's in trouble or anything of that case, but it's a shame that the Red Bull sucks at this moment in time. Ishak Hadja joins and it sucks. And the thing with the Red Bull driver, number 2 seat anyway, I'm always wary about it, because we've seen Pierre Gasly be there. We've seen Alex Albon be there. Drivers I've mentioned earlier. Like, they've been there and they've not done well. So Yuki Tsunoda's, whoever, so on, even Sergio Perez's, right? They haven't done well in that number 2 seat. But then when Ishak Hadja got the job last year, I thought to myself, oh, I hope it all goes well. I hope it all goes well. I hope it all goes well. And it wasn't even the sense of the Red Bull won't be good. It was a sense of, like, if Max Verstappen finds his way and kills another driver, like mentally and whatever else, that will be detrimental to Ishak Hadja. However, the car is bad overall. Now, the reason I bring Ishak Hadja into this conversation is because he's currently P12 in the Drivers' Championship. Do you know what I mean? And he's got 4 points. Now, Max Verstappen's not having the greatest time either, but I think Max has got like 15 points or something like that. And the Red Bull are, P6 in the Constructors' Championship at this moment in time, behind Haas, behind Alpine. That's not a good look. And I think Max Verstappen, on one hand, is pulling his weight, but on the other hand, I think Ishak Hadja could do more 4 points after the first three races of the season isn't great. I know there's been a DNF in there. I know there's been issues and stuff like that, and there's issues with that Red Bull. Understand, that's why I said it's an honourable mention for Isaac Hadjar, because I don't think I'm concerned for him. It's just, it's just, okay, do make yourself, leave him with a bit of integrity at the end of the season. At least let's say, like, let him be a couple of points away from Max Verstappen, at least half the points. Max Verstappen is still, even with the DNF and even with the no points finish, for example, he's still there. He's still Max Verstappen. He's a 4-time world champion. I'm not trying to compare him to Isaac Hadjar. However, I do think that Isaac Hadjar can do slightly better the rest of the season. And I hope that he is there. That's why he's only an honourable mention. But in terms of my three drivers, I've talked about Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, and Franco Colapinto. Those are the three drivers that I'm more concerned about the most and who need to improve, especially with this break that we've had in Formula One. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my three? Let me know if you don't in the comment section down below. If you do agree, and if you like videos and content like this, make sure to smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, lights out.